Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy Thursday to you. I hope you're having a beautiful day already for the ones that are on the East Coast. Um, Hope you're having a beautiful day in the Midwest, wherever you are, and even on the West Coast, wherever you are. May your day be special. May it be beautiful. May you have joy and cheer as you go on about your day, minding the business that pays you or minding the business that brings you happiness or whatever it might be. But anyway, I wanted to do an update on this Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer, he's a Dodgers MLB Major League Baseball player. And last year I covered this and talked about this woman that wanted to bring charges against him after she consented to wanting to have rough sex. And there was text messages to prove that that is what she was wanting to engage in with Trevor Bauer. And so now the DA has declined to file charges. So let's get into this because Trevor Bauer speaks out on sexual assault claims. And the reason why I'm covering these stories like this every now and then, I don't cover them a lot, but every now and then, is because it's important to understand that a lot of women, and that's not every woman, but there's a lot of women out here that consent to things, they participate in things, and encounters, intimate encounters, hoping to gain something. It's getting involved in these encounters or situationships or sexual ships or relationships to gain something. And most of them are looking to gain profit, like money, not so much as, likes and clicks, but they want money. Maybe not even fame. Some of them want fame. We've seen that with the R. Kelly case, but mainly they want money. And they don't want to work for their own money and secure the bag. They want to secure it off of someone else's hard work. And so let's get into this story. This is coming from TMZ.com. TMZ, I don't always follow them, but this came from TMZ. February 8th. And so I want to get into this story and I want to just read to you what Trevor is saying. And he's breaking his silence on the news and adamantly, and he's always denied, those allegations. And they were very serious allegations that were made against him, but he's always denied those allegations. And he did say that the sex was consensual and that she wanted it. But he also said, just to give you guys a review or update, give you, the background on it, the backstory, if you don't recall, or if you're new to listening to this video, he always said that she wanted rough sex and he gave her what she wanted. She consented, she wanted it, she asked for it, and he gave her what she wanted. So it sounds like Trevor was aiming to please. He was aiming to please his intimate encounter or sexual encounter. He was aiming to please, but he's always denied these allegations that he did something, against her will, that he, intentionally harmed her. He's always denied that. And what he's saying here is, I never punched this woman in the face, Bauer said in a YouTube video. I never punched her in the VJ. Okay, some of you know what that is, and I never scratched her face. I never had anal sex with her or sodomized her in any way. I never assaulted her in any way at any time. And he's adamantly, seriously denying these charges. And he goes on to add that in evaluating my life over recent months, it's clear I've made some poor choices. And a lot of people have made poor choices. You can't say that no one has made poor choices. We learn, we grow, right? We evolve. But he said, it's clear I've made some poor choices, particularly in regard to the people that I've chosen to associate with. And he's probably speaking of her as well. He chose to associate with her, which was a poor choice because she was really looking out to gain money, monetary, financial gain from him, and extortion. What it sounds like from me, following the case back then, it sounded like some extortion going on, and she was hoping to get something out of it, and he didn't budge, he didn't succumb, he didn't say, okay, I'm gonna pay you off like some rich men do. He didn't do that. He fought for it, and he says that, but I am not the person that this woman, her lawyers, and certain members of the media have painted me to be. And see, the media is really bad, and you all know that the media is bad. They are very crooked, and when it comes out with these stories against sexual assault, allegedly, they are really bad to jump on these bandwagons and crabs in the barrel and report stories without doing their research. And it's the same thing with the R. Kelly thing, with some lady talking on some show talking about AZ, Ash Clary came out and said that R. Kelly didn't want them speaking to their families because it's a disrespect to R. Kelly. But she didn't even vet that story. She didn't even go and do her research. She just said, he said, she said. And then Gerald Griggs is like, well, it's not he said, she said, but actually it is he said, she said. And a lot of that nonsense with R. Kelly was he said, she said. It was a bunch of foolishness that put our judicial system in a bad, negative light. And I'm sure other countries are laughing at America for the foolish stuff that that is going on right over here in our own judicial system, just to get a conviction that shouldn't have never happened. And I stand on that. I don't believe that conviction should have ever happened. There was a lot of lies, a lot of perjury going on, inconsistent stories, and this played out in the media and used a Lifetime documentary to secure the deal. It's really a sad day. And that, what's her name? Asante McGee, please, you're standing there in a white dress with your breast showing, the bought and paid for breast, but you never was with that man and you lied and people bought into it. But you know what? I didn't buy into that nonsense. I'm never going to buy into that, because I always think about, tell the truth. If you are truly a victim, go through the proper steps and tell the truth. File your claims, file the reports, do what you need to do up front if you are being truthfully. But if you're not, you're going to make up stories. You're not going to file claims. You're not going to do any of those things, because all you're looking for is, people on social media and the media to come and jump on bandwagons, to support the foolishness, to support the false accusations, to support stories that are just not true with the Gayle King. Look at what she did, and then you have, I can go back and think about, there was something that my mother told me about Oprah Winfrey's father. What was his name? I can't recall his first name, but he allegedly did something, and Oprah Winfrey hurried up and got that shut down, her and Gayle King, and what's the lady name that she's been in the news, I think over the Google, Susan, whatever her name. But the thing is how they play games, and it's sisters, it's black women that are bringing an assault on our men to bring down rich men. And it's really sad. And Trevor Bauer is not a black guy, though. He's a white guy. But what he's saying is that he's never done the things that the media is saying that he did. Certain members of the media. And isn't it interesting that a lot of men are talking about the media, and he's one of them. He's not a dummy when he says certain members of the media, because they have painted him to be, it says, and certain members of the media have painted me to be, wanting him to be what they say he should be, what the Me Too movement say he should be. You know what I mean? Or these liberal feminist movements say what he should be. But he's saying, no, I'm not buying that. I'm not going to let them destroy me. And so, he had taken time off, so he wouldn't be a distraction while this was going on. His legal, issues were going on. So Trevor Bauer, and it says, we've obtained the official declination of charges in which officials commented after a thorough review of all the available evidence, including the civil restraining order proceedings. And remember, alleged, I'm not even going to say victim, but I'm not going to say alleged victim, excuse me. But the woman that consented, that participated in the consensual situation, intimate encounter, or whatever you want to call it, she actually had filed a restraining order, and it was a temporary one that was granted. It was granted, but it was temporary. So including the civil restraining order proceedings, witness statements, and the physical evidence, the people are unable to prove the relevant charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. And it says Trevor Bauer will not face any criminal charges for allegedly punching and choking a woman unconscious during sex, TMZ Sports has learned. We're also told the decisions were made in part because of text messages between the accuser and Bauer, where she indicated she was looking for rough sex. Some people are into BDSM. And remember, and if you remember the video that I did do about this last year, I talked about this, that there were text messages that was brought up that, showed that she was asking for it. And there was something else too that was talked about, is that when he didn't want to deal with her anymore. He didn't want to have anything to do with her anymore. She got upset because she had reached out to him and wanted to continue, and he said no. And that's where his problem started. And she hadn't filed any police report. But then she came out afterwards and allegedly, I believe, filed a police report after the fact. But she was trying to get money prior to filing the police report. And then when it didn't happen, then she decided to, try to go the legal route. And it's really sad that we have women out here that continue to do this, but we have people that buy into all these stories, and it's like they don't use common sense. It's like that they have a low level way of thinking. And right is right and wrong is wrong. And we do need to, look into all things before we automatically accuse someone of doing things. We need to look into it. We need to, do research, be able to, and not just that, but be able to, really listen to these people talk and read these stories and really pick it apart to get to the truth of the matter, because a lot of the media is not going to do that. They're not going to get to the root of the matter, the picking it apart. They're not going to get to that. Matter of fact, they're not even going to ask the hard questions, because they're going to say that that's victim shaming and victim blaming. But actually, we do need to get to it, because we need to get to the truth. We need to get to the truth with these stories and these allegations that come out here. We need to get to the truth. And the only way to get to the truth is to ask the hard questions, to ask questions that some people are not willing to ask, like the media has not been willing to ask. They only want to go along with the world standards and go along with everybody, instead of getting to the truth of what's really happening in our society. And you always have to think, it could be my son, it could be my brother, it could be my husband, it could be my significant other, it could be my cousin, my nephew, it could be a best friend of mine, it could be my neighbor. People don't see that because they think it won't happen to them. And when you jump on these crabs in the barrel bandwagons and get in the crabs, these barrels with these people, don't you realize that you're participating in wrongdoing also without doing your research and without giving people the presumption of innocence? When you violate someone else's constitutional rights, don't think that yours cannot be violated. When it comes down to, the R. Kelly case and stuff like that, your constitutional rights can be violated too. And that's why I say, and I'm going to get back to this, but I have to take a moment to get this off my mind, off my chest, is that's why I say, people that want to fight for a seat at a table where you're not wanted. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of Black people doing that, fighting at a table where you're not wanted. You want a seat at the table and put your feet under somebody's table that don't even want you there. They really don't. And look at how they did Whoopi Goldberg on The View. They suspended her. But I don't think she said anything disrespectful, but they suspended her. But you see what I'm saying? How they, and I know I'm off topic a little, but you see how they do. And, they don't care nothing about you. But see, you want to be part of that nonsense with them. And then when it turns around, look at what they do. You can't speak against certain things. You cannot speak against the H. You can't speak. But the thing is that we should be building our own tables. We should build our own tables. And then we can decorate them the way we want to. And then we can invite who we want at our tables. People that are for us. People that are not going to stab us in the back while they're smiling in our face, while they're acting like they're for us, but they're really against us. It's really sad. But like he said, these were text messages, text messages. And I remember that between the accuser and him, and she was looking for it. And so, but she was accused of, he was accused of, Bauer was accused of getting physical with the woman during 2 sexual encounters in April and May of 2021, which the alleged victim claimed left her with bumps, bruises, scratches, and other injuries. That's what she's saying. And as for Bauer, he's long been adamant that he did absolutely nothing wrong, and saying the situation was nothing more than rough sex between 2 consenting adults. And you know something else? She could have beat up her own self and had somebody to do it, because I've heard of stories in the past where women have had somebody to beat them up, to bruise them, and things like that, so that they can take pictures of it and accuse someone else of doing it. It is so much crazy stuff going on in this world with people. They're desperate to take down somebody with money. And and then it says that he only started 17 games, during that time. He was placed on administrative leave by MLB once MLB, the Major League Baseball, once the allegations became public. But back in August, the alleged victim asked the court to grant her a permanent restraining order protecting her for Bauer. She didn't need a permanent restraining order. But see, that's another tactic. And brothers, peep game, or men, period, peep game, that when they ask for restraining orders, that's another tactic to make it look like you are that monster, to make it look like you are a danger to society. You have got to know these things. And however, after several days in court, the judge ruled in Trevor's favor and refused to order the restraining order, because she wanted a permanent one, and he said no. And so that temporary restraining order that he had that forbidded him from contacting her by any means, he dissolved that one as well, because he did put one. The judge did approve one, had put one on, a temporary one, but then now that's been dissolved. So she just needs to go on about her business. Just go on about her business. And I don't think he's going to return. I think that he didn't. He was out for the rest of the baseball season at that time. So I don't think he ever returned, But she's saying that she was in so much pain, at the time when she testified in court. She was saying she was in so much pain because, remember, he apparently left her, as she said, left her, didn't care for her. But she testified. Now, listen to this. She said he treated her like a rag doll during the 2 sexual encounters in April and May. She's a 27-year-old. That was, seeking that permanent restraining order. And she was on the stand for 4 hours in a Los Angeles courtroom and explained in graphic detail how she says that Bauer sexually assaulted her. But the woman was questioned by her attorneys, and she was cross-examined. She said she was in flat out in so much pain after her experiences with the pitcher. He was treating me like I wasn't a human being. Well, yeah, because he walked away from her. He didn't want to have anything else to do with her. And rejection, some people don't handle rejection well. They just don't. And I don't think she handled rejection well, because, she wanted to still talk to him and he did not want to. But see, when you put yourself in a situation with someone like that and you just want to, think you're going to get something, a lot of times, you reap what you sow, and karma is real and it comes back on you. And if you're out to gain something from someone and your intentions are not good, you're going to be, you need to be, I'll say that, you should be prepared to accept the consequences, whatever that's going to happen if you don't get what you set out to do. And that means if it's a bad thing, and to me, that was a bad thing. She set out to get money from him, to extort him. She set out for something that he wasn't, he didn't want to have a long-term relationship with her. Obviously, he didn't want to be part of that. And so when he called it off, that's when all of this started. And she's saying that he treated her like she wasn't human. Well, if you put yourself in a situation like that and someone doesn't really want to be with you anymore, that's not saying that they're treating you like you're not human. It's just saying, look, I'm done with the situation. I'm through with it, or situationship, and I just don't want to have anything else to do with you. And people have a right, to decide who they want to, associate with, who they want to be with. And he just didn't want to be with her anymore. And she's told the judge how he choked her unconscious with her own hair during her 2 encounters. Wow. And Bauer sat in the courtroom for the hearing and was described as quiet and stoic as the question of his accuser unfolded. He was adamant, again, that it was entirely consensual, the encounter. And, so anyway, So, who's to say that she did not have someone to, do, to place those injuries on her? I'm not saying she did do that, but you know what? They were trying to extort money. And that's what they do when people have money, especially these men. And you see there's an attack on men. It's not just black men, it's all types of races of men, that these women are coming for. And it's really a sad day, I think, in our judicial system, but also in society. It's like there's just no credibility anymore. People just don't have self-respect about themselves anymore. There's no cultural obligation or community obligation. There's just no one willing to tell the truth about what decisions and choices they make. And it's funny because it's not funny, but it's interesting how people will make choices, and then come back and they don't like the choices that they made, especially if they don't get any type of monetary gain or financial gain from it. And then all of a sudden, they are the victims. They want to say they're victims. And it's really unfortunate that we are living in a society that's like that. And you have allowed liberal feminist movements to hijack our judicial system. And I just want to say, lift up Banjin. We thank you for being, an attorney, an appeals attorney that's going to do the right thing, that's going to make sure that you hold the prosecutors in the judicial system or the judicial system accountable when they violate someone's rights. And we are, praying for you. I'm praying for you. Thank you for being that attorney that's not going to go along with the get along, that you are going to do your job and be ethical, because we do know that Gerald Griggs is not an ethical attorney at all. It's really sad. How can you say you're fighting, representing the NAACP, but then you got on talk shows and came out in the media, a whole different way. You don't stand for anything. That's really sad. You don't believe what you're doing. You don't believe what you say. The job that you do, you obviously don't believe it, because I've never known the NAACP to stand for what you have done. And I'm sure your day is going to come too. People reap what they sow. I truly believe that. And I also believe in the word of God that, evildoers' success will be short term, and it's never in our time. So we have to understand that it's never in our time, when God is going to hold people accountable. It's never in our time. It's in God's time. And that's so important. And so, we have to be ever so mindful of what we put out, and, how we treat one another and what we believe. And if you're raising children or grandchildren, you got to be able to teach them what's right and wrong and hold them accountable and be that example that you want to see. Because we see so many bad examples that are being set for children, and it's unfortunate. And so we have to be that example, and we have to continue to speak out, to talk, to hold workshops, seminars, whatever it is, talks, and be that beacon of light and hope, that these children will have the examples that they need. Because so many people, when they don't want to hear the truth, they will not listen. And that is why people perish for lack of knowledge, because when they don't want to hear the truth, they will not listen. And when people don't want to listen, they will not hear the truth. And so much information is missing because people will choose to not hear and choose not to listen. But I say that even if you don't like the person, even if you believe certain things, hear other people out. Listen, because you'll learn something. You will learn something. And it's not about always changing people's mind, but it's about getting the truth out there. The truth out there. And getting more than one side out there. I always say, don't ever believe something one-sided if the other person is not there to tell their story or share their story or experience. And I'm talking about the truth, not their truth, my truth, but the truth. You have to be more than a low-level thinker. You got to rise above that. And always remember, a story is never one-sided. And people have a right to tell their story, the truth, and to face their accusers. And, you know, you know what? People have that right. And when that right is taken away from them, it's a disservice, but it's also an assault when you will not allow the individual to be able to tell their side of the story. And when you have the world against you, so many people just believe in anything. It's unfortunate. And how you see how they're moving to protect certain people. But the more that we get stories out, the more we speak about these things. And I don't know Trevor Bauer either, but right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you are a groupie or a groupie extraordinaire, if you are someone that's going to get out there and be chasing these rich men down and getting on these yachts and parties like this incident with Chris Brown, you know, whatever that is with that woman, and bringing up P. Diddy and all this stuff, and then you got Trey Songz out there. If you are going to participate in those things consensually, don't come back later saying this is what happened to you, you know, later on, you know, and feeling bad because they didn't want to be bothered with you after the fact, you know, because that's what a lot of that is too, is they don't want to be bothered with you after the fact of you consensually doing something. And then now all of a sudden, well, I got the Me Too movement on my side. I got these feminist movement. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say they did this to get money. And we all, you know, probably wish we could have a lot of money and, you know, never have to financially worry about anything. But when you lie for money and you harm others and you lie on people to bring harm to others, the love of money is the root of all evil. And being greedy, see, it's the love of money. When you bring harm to other people with that money, chasing money and lying, that, you know, it's greed. It's the root of all evil. When you have that much of love for money that you're willing to do anything that will bring harm to someone else, that's wrong. But, you know, hey, you know, we have to continue to speak out, continue to stand up for what is right, continue to fight, you know, continue to share videos and to get that information out there. So I hope you all do have a beautiful day. God bless you all. Peace out.